Hey, ladies and gentlemen. So when it comes time for you to pick your two solid pieces of evidence from your own home to categorize, sketch, and measure, make sure you start with a physical description of the piece of evidence. So let's say I start with this. This is a brass shell casing. And what you want to do is you can see there's some very obvious physical deformities to it. So you can see the throat of it is a bit deformed. It's a bit misshapen, so you might want to make note of that. Also, if there are any markings on your piece of evidence, any sort of writing or letters, you also want to make note of those. So you see this is RP 7mm Mauser. So that's a good little piece of evidence that you're going to want to do. For certain sketches, you might want to do more than one sketch. You might want to, for this one, you might actually want to sketch the bottom and then sketch it also from the side. Now for the measurements, I'll put this down for a minute, we're going to use our ruler. So you should, at this point, have procured a metric ruler. Any standard ruler will do. On one side, you'll have the standard measurements, or imperial measurements, as they used to be called, in inches. And on the other side, you should have metric, which most of the time is going to be centimeters. Now, each of these large numbers is 1 centimeter. So we start 1, 2, the 0 is right down here at this line. But remember, centimeters are divided up into 10 millimeters. So each of these little lines represents 1 millimeter. And the kind of medium length line in the middle is the 5 millimeter marcation. When you measure smaller pieces of evidence, you will want to use millimeters. So for this one, for example, if we're measuring our shell casing again, we want to get the edge of the shell casing right up to the 0. And then we're going to measure it right up to the top. So this comes out to about, remember that this is 10 millimeters per large number. That's 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 millimeters in length. We'd also want to measure the diameter, probably of the base and up here at the throat of the shell casing. So at the base, just want to flip it over, measure across the middle, and you can see we've gotten past the 1 centimeter mark. So that looks about, if we look at it very carefully, that seems to be about 12 millimeters. And then we'd also want to measure it at the throat, which, if this is true to what the base of the bullet says, it should be about 7 millimeters. But remember, it is a little bit deformed. So if you look at it closely, yes, that is just about 7 millimeters as well. So remember, for your pieces of evidence, you might not have something exactly like this. You might have something that's square, rectangular. You want to measure the length, the width, and the thickness. This one, because it's round, you only really have the diameter, which is the length across the circle. If you have more than one diameter, you want to measure both. But try to pick something small and easy to measure with your ruler. And that's how you use a metric ruler for measuring your physical evidence. Next, I'm going to show you how to do the same measurements except with something a bit more accurate, an electronic caliper.